Do you know what it's like when your team is not doing well and you finally have reached your bye week? It's something like this. Check this out. Ready? I have a bye week. The Cowboys can't upset me. Stress-free Sunday. I am so relaxed. I'm going to be calm, cool, and collective for this week of the season. So what better time than to analyze all the other teams that will be playing this week? So here you go. These are my Week 10 NFL predictions. Moving into Sunday's 1 p.m. game, starting with the Texans at the Browns, I actually have the Browns taking this 24-17. The Browns have a great run game, and Houston is terrible against the run. Truthfully, they've only been in games lately because their quarterback is either throwing to Fuller or Cooks. Also, the Browns have a pretty solid defense, and a decent defense is all you need to beat a team as dismantled as the Houston Texans. Now, of course, these two quarterbacks have faced each other in the 2015 Orange Bowl, so anything is possible, but I gotta stick with the Browns on this one. I think they got it in the bag. Shout out to the Jaguars for putting up a good fight against the Texans, but the Packers are not Houston. Therefore, this game is going to be atrocious. I have the Packers winning 34-17, and I mean, it's self-explanatory. Aaron Rodgers, the whole gang, the defense, Jacksonville's just not very good. That's it. Case in point, wash your hands clean. Sorry, Jacksonville fans. Maybe next year. Next, we have the game of the Buccaneers at the Carolina Panthers. I have this game ending in a score of 31-28 with the Bucs taking it. And listen, Tom Brady is just not playing good football, but luckily that Tampa Bay defense is impressive. And I think that's going to be the key to keeping them in this game. Now, I do think Tom Brady is going to have a much better game than we saw on Sunday night. I think he's embarrassed. I think the team's embarrassed by that performance. So expect them to come out with a vengeance. But the Panthers are nothing to sleep on. That defense is pretty solid, so expect them to give Tom Brady a hard time. Ultimately, though, the Bucs are going to pull this one out. Next, we have Washington at the Detroit Lions, and look, both of these teams, they're just not very good this year. So it's really going to come down to which team is slightly better on Sunday. I have that team being the Lions. I have them winning 27-20. And look, Washington's going to be able to put some pressure on Matthew Stafford, but with all the issues Washington is having at quarterback, I think you got to go with a veteran who's going to be able to put points on the board, and that's going to be Matthew Stafford. But with the Detroit Lions' history of blowing leads and blowing close games, anything is possible. The NFC East, the best reality show in the NFL. Look, the matchup between the Eagles and the Giants isn't going to be anything overly exciting, but the Eagles are the better team here, so I have them winning this 24-21. The Giants' offensive line is just not very good. Daniel Jones is not going to have any protection, any time to throw the ball. And with the additional pressure from the Eagles' pretty solid defensive line, it's game over. I'm being generous with a score of 21. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be 21 from 3 touchdowns. Mostly it's going to be a couple field goals thrown in there too. But the Eagles are going to be able to pull this one out and remain on top of that terrible, terrible NFC East division. Now moving into Sunday's 4 p.m. slot games, starting with the Bills at the Arizona Cardinals. Listen, if you like defense, this is not going to be your game because we're looking at a wild, wild west shootout. I have the Bills taking this 38-34, but look, Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, Kyler Murray, and DeAndre Hopkins, the defense on either side of the ball is not going to have an answer for either duo. So like I said, expect a lot of points, but I think the Bills are going to ultimately be able to pull this one out. Heading to the 305 where the Chargers will face off against the Miami Dolphins. Now obviously all eyes are going to be on Herbert and Tua. But the secret weapon here is the Miami Dolphins, I believe, have a slightly better defense or a much better defense, depending on who you ask, than the Chargers, which ultimately is why I have them securing this win. It's not going to be a big margin. I literally have this by 1 point, with the Miami Dolphins taking it 28-27, but it's going to be fun to see these two face off because they're going to be in the league, hopefully, for a very long time. Next up, we have the Broncos at the Raiders, and I have this going to the Raiders with a score of 31-28 because Derek Carr is playing exceptionally well. I mean, he is slinging that ball all over the place, and defenses are having a very hard time keeping up. And I don't think Denver is going to be an exception to that rule. Also, Gruden's play calling has been fantastic lately. But we can't sleep on Drew Lock because he has been showing up in big numbers in the fourth quarter. So I also expect this one to be a shootout. I need to know what's going on with the Seahawks because I need Russell Wilson to win MVP. And we can't keep losing games, guys. Except they will lose this matchup against the LA Rams. 41-38 is going to be my final score. And listen, this is going to be another shootout. But the secret weapon here is Aaron Donald, which the Rams have and the Seahawks do not. The Seahawks do not have a good pass rush, which is going to give Jared Goff a lot of time to get rid of that ball. Now, if the Rams do try to run the ball, that's a game changer. And that may shift the win or the possibility of a win in the Seahawks' favor. But Russell Wilson is a magician. They don't call him the Magic Man for nothing. So even with Aaron Donald breathing down his neck all day, I wouldn't count the Seahawks out completely. Now, I'm not quite sure if this game is even going to be played because of COVID, but if it is, I have the Steelers taking down the Bengals 27-20. I just feel like the defense is going to be on Joe Burrow all night, and he's going to be under siege the entire game. But where things do get interesting, Big Ben was placed on the COVID reserve list and also did sustain an injury to both knees during that Cowboys matchup. So if he's in the game, if he's not in the game, rather, that's going to be a big difference maker, and it will be interesting to see if the Bengals can capitalize on that. But I have faith that the defense ultimately will secure the win. So like I said, 27-20, Steelers are going to take it. I feel like the Saints are about to go on a run. I mean, they look amazing. Drew Brees is playing great. Michael Thomas, it's like nothing ever happened. The team as a whole is just clicking at the right time. They're tired of being screwed over by the refs when it counts. They want that Super Bowl. So when the 49ers roll into town, the 49ers also, who happen to be the most injured team in the NFL, I have this being a score of 20-34 with the Saints taking it. It's just going to be a clinic. Drew Brees is just going to be out there throwing touchdown passes left and right. It's going to be basically a replay of that Sunday night matchup against the Bucs. So if you like a lot of scoring on one side of the board, this is going to be your game. Rounding out the Sunday lineup of games, the Sunday night matchup between the Ravens and the Patriots in New England. And this pains me because I wish I could have gotten a matchup of Lamar Jackson and Cam Newton in his prime, because the Patriots just do not look good. Between injuries, between opt-outs because of COVID, Cam Newton struggles holding on to the ball and passing. It's just a mess in New England. But the Ravens are a much more solid team, and Lamar Jackson is going to give that defense a hard time. I don't think Bill Belichick is going to have the answer for a guy who can just move and run and twist and flip like we're watching a real life version of Madden. And because of that, I got the Ravens winning 27-21. Rounding out week 10 of the NFL is the Monday night matchup between the Vikings and the Chicago Bears in Chicago. Now, both of these teams are just a roller coaster of emotions. One day they're hot, one day they're cold, and they're just a mess, truthfully. But I think that the Bears are going to be able to pull this one out 27-24. I know what you're thinking. The Vikings have Dalvin Cook, but the Bears statistically are pretty solid against the run, which is going to force Kirk Cousins to throw the ball. Now, if Kirk Cousins is able to take down the Chicago Bears, which has a pretty solid defense, I would say, when you're facing a team like Minnesota, maybe then I'll be a Kirk Cousins believer. Probably not, but hey, it sounds good on camera. Ultimately, though, like I said, I think the Bears are going to pull this out. Their issue was never at quarterback, though. So whether it's Trubisky or Foles, the issue for them is always play calling and time management. As long as they don't screw those two things up, they're going to be able to secure this win. So there you have it. Those are my predictions for week 10 of the NFL, and I am so excited to be watching this as a fan of football because no Cowboys, no drama, no problem. If your team is playing, I will send a prayer up to the football gods because I know what that's like. May they forever be in your favor. What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for checking out this episode of All In with Ashley Nicole. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of the new episodes. And while you're at it, check me out on social media and hit that follow because I post some pretty cool things on there that you won't see on YouTube.